how to sell fast and sell high, which I'll touch on a little bit. Coming up, we'll have Elise with Azure Wealth Management talking about creating your legacy, her word on wealth, myth versus reality. We've got a good one this week, also rent versus own. And Cheryl was talking about the art, really, of getting the right price for your house. And as she was speaking, I was thinking of my bright idea to sell a rental I had on my own, which turned out to be a bad idea for a number of different reasons. And once I got the Real Talk Twin Cities team involved, things went much more smoothly. In fact, I didn't have to do much, and I ended up getting about $5,000 more than the listing price. So I can really relate to that. There are so many intricacies, and you really do need it. Well, you end up making, in my experience, you make more money if you have an expert involved rather than less, because if you're thinking, well, I won't have to pay the realtor. Yeah, but you're going to pay for your potential mistakes, wouldn't you say, Cheryl?
I would say that. I would also mention too that even if you are trying to sell your home yourself, most of the buyers coming in don't feel comfortable working directly with the seller. So they're going to be bringing their own agent anyway, and
Right.
that agent needs to be paid, and that agent is usually receiving 2.7%. So when you take a look at you trying to sell it yourself, in addition to having to factor in that 2.7%, the buyer is going to expect a discount because they know you're not paying your own listing agent to get this done. So that is typically factored in, and because you don't have the negotiation skills of somebody who's doing this 100 times a year, you don't have the skills to sell it for as high of a price as somebody that does this every day and get you through all of the problems that can come up and cost even additional dollars.
Mm-hmm. And if you save money or get more money on the sale of your home, then you've got more options for building wealth, perhaps buying something else or diversifying. And that's where Elise comes in. And you can help folks create a legacy, a financial legacy, right?
Yep, absolutely. And so it's funny, one of the things that I wanted to talk about this week really stems from some topics that have been in the media very, very visibly lately. Some of which featured on the most recent State of the Union address. And then this very week, a Business Week showed up at my door, and I literally stopped and started laughing when I saw the front cover because it's so relevant right now. It's I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's a picture of a woman that's in a hospital gown, just disheveled, with a baby in her arm, a laptop, and a cell phone to her ear. And it's all about the maternity crisis and just the leave policies that the U.S. has adopted as best practices that have still been around since the Mad Men era, and how it is negatively impacting our female workforce. And so the State of the Union address also brought up the maternity leave issue as well as paid sick leave in the U.S. and just how beneficial that would be to the population. But I don't know about you guys, I'm not holding my breath for that to be taken care of anytime soon.
Right, so what you're really talking about is planning and understanding the benefits that your employer provides or doesn't provide.
Yep.
And analyzing the disability portion.
Yep, absolutely. It's, oh my gosh, I'm sick or pregnant, now what? And I just had a client the other day that said, Elise, guess what we're expecting? And I was so happy for them, but at the same time I was like, why didn't you tell me this like 6 months ago? And I know that there are personal factors, you don't always want to share, but there are so many ways that I can help my clients, the people that come to me, put a plan in place that prevents them from being in the situation that President Obama was just expressing and that this Business Week was sharing, where you're stuck without pay and there's nothing you can do, and that impacts your ability to do, virtually everything, right? It can put your home at risk, it can put your mortgage, it puts your credit at risk if you have to be late on payments, and it just developmentally from a parental standpoint or a family standpoint, if you have someone that's ill and unable to work or that just had a child, it's enormously stressful. So, there are a few really important ways that you can protect against that happening. First and foremost, get to know your employer benefits. And of course, that assumes that you do have employer benefits if you're self-employed, or obviously employed at a small employer that doesn't offer benefits. Well, some of this stuff you have to shoulder the financial burden of doing yourself. But very few individuals that I come across initially that ask me, you know, how do I plan for this, have any idea what their sick leave policy is, what their bereavement leave policy might be, what their short-term or long-term disability is, and that is vital. I know we've said in past shows your income is the largest asset you will ever have, is your potential to earn money. So understand what's there to protect it. You can and should insure your income. Think about how much you spend on your auto insurance.
Right, and it's really about budgeting and planning for your life.
Exactly.
I know one of the things that brought out in that article is that 60% of college graduates are women.
Mhm.
And so you have all of these women, they're 25, they start getting into relationships, they get that job, and after college, they're making the same amount of money as men.
Absolutely.
They're very well paid. But then they think about having a baby and they can no longer work full time. It's just not an option for most people. And you think about, okay, they get married, they buy a house, they get qualified for their mortgage based on both people working.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the baby comes and you have one income.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know the article in Business Week cited that the United States is one of only 2 countries in the world that doesn't have a paid sick leave policies. It's considered a developed nation. Papua New Guinea is the other one. Isn't that shocking? So, I mean, the other one, like you said, Cheryl, is budgeting. I mean, everybody has a certain amount of fixed expenses that you have to pay. You can't just decide to not pay your mortgage because you had a child or because you're ill and can't work. However, you can choose to forego the manis or petties that you're getting or the
Right.
premium cable packages that you have, you know, and knowing that again ahead of time and having having a pulse on your budget allows you to understand what you can restrict if something happens. And then finally, most people don't realize that you can buy insurances that will replace portions of your income, like I said, disability insurance, or even some specialty insurance products out there in the marketplace that will kick in if, for instance, you do have a child. Obviously, sickness is, unforeseen, but if you do have a child, it will replace some of your income. However, most of those you have to have in place for a certain amount of time before you get pregnant, because the insurance companies know you start trying 2 weeks before you find out that you've, conceived your child. Oops, now we want the insurance, doesn't happen. And most of those are at least 10 months. So,
Plan.
And so this is really why we recommend, especially after you work with Eric the Loan Guy or myself, that you close on your home and you get in touch with Elise Jensen at Azura Wealth Management
Yeah.
and set up a plan for success.
You can reach me at any time on my in my office at 651-300-2456, or Google Azure Wealth Management. That's AZURE. I'm very present on social media, and I love it when people reach out. So
Great. And you can also find Elise at realtalktwincities.com.
And all of us, for all things real estate, realtalktwincities.com, whether it's a mortgage checkup or if you want to sell or buy a home, get a hold of Cheryl or Donna, and they can take care of you, right?
And yeah, that's absolutely correct. And one other fun thing is we do videotape all of these shows. And today you could see all of us in our Winter Carnival buttons. And Eric is extremely color coordinated.
Yep.
This blue button matches his beautiful blue shirt.
wow.
So check us out, realtalktwincities.com.
I'm not so well color coordinated, but
Got a little black in there.
yeah.
Last week I was in a cowboy hat and a Speedo.
Not here.
True Lone Ranger.
Which is why we didn't wear our buttons. They wouldn't have matched.
Nothing to pin it on.
Yeah.
That's a myth.
Well, tell us, what's
Reality.
the reality?
Yeah, well, all right. So our myth versus reality for today is the fact that a lot of folks say, for example, a no-cost refinance, right? Well, we're taking you from 4.5 to 3.87. Well, that's not very much. It's just a little over half a point. So I hear often that, and maybe you guys have heard this, that it's not worth refinancing unless you drop your rate at least a point. And if
I've
you
heard that.
all right, everybody's heard that. I don't know where that comes from, but anyway, it's there. It's like drinking milk or something. I don't know.
Milk?
Well, you get 8 glasses of milk, or you die young and osteoporosis, or anyway.
All right.
It's kind of a myth, but so I'm not good on analogies. What can I say? Anyway, so the 1 point thing is a myth. I mean, I don't know. I used to say it's kind of a useful rule of thumb, but it's really not. You look at the costs and the rate and see if it's worth it. And with a no-cost mortgage means, and how much are you spending on a no-cost mortgage, Cheryl?
No cost.
Right. Well,
That wasn't a trick
It's
question.
not a trick.
well, and I say that because almost 9 times out of 10 I say, yeah, we'll do a no-cost mortgage, and they say, great, that sounds really good. How much is it? And
My best friend is an actuary, and she said that last week to me
Yeah.
when I tried to.
how much is the no
Yep.
cost?
That can't possibly be true.
Well, it is. And it's no secret. I mean, the rate's a little bit higher, about a quarter than if you paid the costs, and that's why it's worth it. So if you're at 4.5, for example, and at 3.875, we can pay it. Yes, you could get 3.625 if you paid, $4,000 in costs, or at 3.875, it's nothing. And so you drop your rate 5/8 for free. And that's why the 1 point thing doesn't make sense. Even less, it's, recently I've been, some folks with, $400,000 mortgages, and we're dropping their rate 3/8 for free. They save $160 a month or something, and why not? So, there's the reality. You don't have to drop it a point.
All right, I like it. And
Yeah.
then you can take that $168 and you can invest it in something else.
That's right. If you want to find out how, get a hold of Elise at Azure Wealth Management. You can get a hold of her on our website, realtalktwincities.com. We're here for you every Saturday on AM 1280 The Patriot for all things real estate. Expert advice, whether you want to buy or sell or refinance. Coming back with mortgage checkup, ask the expert, clear to close, and a little bit more. We'll see you in a minute.